Hello and welcome to GFN Soul NYC FM. I'm Robert Ashley, and we thank you once again for being with us right here on The Robert Ashley Show. And what we do here is news and commentary. And be sure to subscribe to our channel, like our channel, hit that notification bell so you'll know when we're coming up with more and more programs. Now, also, each and every night, we've got the best in throwback music. It's called The Quiet Storm, 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. Our colleague Wayne G. He will serenade you until the break of dawn there, if you will. But once again, we are honored to have you with us. Well, today, our focus will be on we black men. Now, it's very, very interesting that as we're getting down to the finals with regards to this presidential election involving Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, the black man, your vote has become a point of contention. And that is very interesting because black men, we have been the victims of white supremacy. We have been the victims of a racist nation that came up with all kinds of laws to enslave us, strip us of our identity, and pretty much make us what they call automatrons, just human beings that'll do anything. We're not thinking for ourselves. But that day has come and gone. And when you see former President Barack Obama telling black men that, hey, Kamala may not become president of the United States because of you black men, then look, black men, realize that you have power, you have significance. And, the stone that was once rejected now becomes the cornerstone. So once again, here at GFN Soul NYC, we will never tell you who to vote for, but we just want you to realize that as black men, we need to be in the Democratic Party as well as in the Republican Party. Now, sisters, for those of you who are going to vote for Kamala because she's a woman of color, that is indeed your right. But we encourage you, get in that Democratic Party. Try to make a difference, or will you just be another political slave within that particular party, and that the history of the Democratic Party is indeed that they were the party of slavery there, if you will. Now, for those of you who are in the Republican Party, you need to do exactly what the black folks should be doing in the Democratic Party. That's having an agenda, speaking truth to power, leveraging your political power, not just for the sake of some money here or some money there, but long-term stability, long-term influence to be able to, the hands that once picked cotton, now picking a president. Now, the big question is, why are so many black men supporting former President Donald John Trump? Well, black men see a commonality with former President Donald Trump. Who knows? The former president, and that there's been 2 assassination attempts, all kinds of lawfare that has been used against him. The fact that he's been in the White House once before and already have seen where all the bodies are buried. He's seen the communists. He's seen the socialists. He's seen those who are committing treason against this nation, selling uranium, selling missile technology to the enemies of the United States of America. Why would these people do that and claim to be pro-America? Now, that's one reason why black men are supporting Donald John Trump, because of victimization. The same people who have victimized black men, are they now victimizing former President Donald Trump? Now, also with regards to the LGBTQ agenda, real black men don't support homosexuality. Have you ever seen the Jerry Springer Show? I know that sounds kind of crazy, but have you ever seen the Jerry Springer Show where they have these men, mostly black, there's been some white ones, Latinos there as well, but mostly black, who somehow or another was in a club and there was the last call for alcohol, and they wind up getting involved with a person who they thought was a woman, only to find out that this was a female impersonator. And when the black man found out that he had been the victim of a personator, could you see the rage and the outrage that that man had? And that's why on the Jerry Springer Show, a lot of those shows, they would have to have people like Steve Wilco and all those guys to hold the black man back, because if he got his hands on that female impersonator, a homosexual who perpetrated and used him in a sense, then he probably would tear that person from limb to limb, possibly would even kill somebody. We don't encourage that type of violence, but that's one of the reasons why black men are supporting Donald John Trump, because they don't like this LGBTQ agenda. The fact that Kamala Harris and Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz are in favor of transgenderism, the mutilation of children without their parents' consent. Can you imagine that? You have a son, you have a daughter, And all of a sudden, they have been victimized by a mentality that comes, some say, straight from the pit of hell, because God knows how he made us. But if you had a son or a daughter who was victimized by that kind of thing, and you as a parent did not have any parental say, and your child came home castrated, breast removed, penis removed, what would you do? And no parental consent? Kamala Harris and Tim Walz support that kind of thing. Real black men don't support that. Real black men also don't support women involved with men's sports. Why have Title IX if you're going to let some homosexual man or some transgender thinking man think that he is a woman just because he merely thinks that? Come on, that's being given over to a reprobate mind. That's not enough to violate Title IX and to allow men to compete with women in sports, being in the locker room. This is straight from the pit of hell where that kind of thinking comes from. That's not normal. That's why real black men support Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris. When you think about the economy, you think about jobs, you think about prison reform. Why hasn't the media went into details about President Trump's prison reforms? There are a lot of black men who get out of jail and they get $20 and a bus ticket home. Well, if you look at the plan that President Donald Trump came up with, black men have a chance to become economically viable, become taxpayers, and become a part of the society, rather than just being a drag there and creating high crime in cities around the country where we have black mayors, black police chiefs. The crime is just completely off the chain. But that's coming from George Soros and these punk district attorneys that are very, very soft on crime. In order to create a crisis, look at New York City, a black prosecutor. Crime is just running rampant there, all kinds of migrants. Another reason why black men are supporting Donald John Trump over Kamala Harris is because of what happened at the border. Can you imagine all these people coming in here, getting driver's license, and then they'll be able to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz or for Barack Obama or any kind of Democrat? But that's at the expense of who? The black man who's trying to get most of those jobs what President Trump called black jobs. Now, we know that Michelle Obama at the Democratic Convention kind of poked fun at the former president, saying that his job may be one of those black jobs. For what, Barack Obama? Now, Barack, many of us did vote for you, but we found out that you were a trick too. You didn't do anything about reparations. You didn't even want that topic to come up. We covered you during your presidential. Don't bring up reparations because it may make white folks not vote for him, and then he won't get in the White House. Well, you got into the White House twice. You didn't sign an executive order with regards to reparations, but yet you're supporting Ukraine. You're supporting the situation over there in the Middle East, where we're spending well over $500 billion. Can you imagine that? $500 or more billion between Russia and the situation in Ukraine, and then what's going on over in Israel. All of that money, but yet you can't sign an executive order to allow black folks to have $1 million apiece to stimulate the economy. Just no priority for black people. But President Trump came up with what they call the Platinum Plan. And this is a plan where they were going to invest millions and billions of dollars within the black community. Ice Cube, the rapper, and many others had met. Lil Wayne, they had all met with former President Donald Trump, and it'll be interesting if indeed he gets back into the White House, and will he carry out the Platinum Plan. Also, the reason why a lot of black men are supporting President Donald Trump is because of what he's done for historically black colleges and universities. He made a 10-year commitment, millions and millions of dollars, but yet my colleagues like Roland Martin, who's become kind of a troll for the Democratic Party, and Roland, that's your right to be a troll for the Democratic Party. Maybe they'll make you the White House press secretary the next time around if Kamala gets into the White House. But people like Roland and others just kind of just scoff at that and say, oh, the totality over a 50-year period should be this, or a 50-year period should be that. That's fine, and I can understand that. But take this money, this 10-year commitment from President Trump with regards to HBCUs, and utilize that money, and then move on down the road as you continue to pursue even more. Now, also, when it comes down to the border, when you think about the migrants, these migrants are coming in getting all kinds of money. And you have black Americans still on the street facing high taxes. Inflation is up 20%, but yet migrants can come in and get anything they want. But see, the migrants, I guess, possibly will vote for the Democrats, because if they get a driver's license, like a lot of the Haitians there in Springfield, Ohio, and then they can vote for the Democratic Party. So Democrats, are you allowing people to come in? The border's been wide open just because you want votes, you want to undercut the American people. That kind of thing is one of the reasons why a lot of black men are not supporting the Democratic Party. Now, the reason why some black men are supporting the Democratic Party and Kamala Harris because they believe in Kamala Harris. They believe in the fact that she says that she's going to give everyone $25,000 to buy a brand new home. Or will there be certain people, are you sure you're going to get that $25,000 in order to buy that home? Well, a lot of black people are supporting Kamala Harris because she's a woman. There are many who believe that men have driven this country to the point that it is right now. We have trillions of dollars in debt. We have a military. We have to wonder whether or not we could stand a world war over in Taiwan. Could we fight a world war backing up Israel if indeed Hezbollah and Iran continues to do their thing? But a lot of people are supporting Kamala Harris because, once again, she's a woman. There are a lot of sororities who are supporting a woman of color. Now, whether or not she's black or whether or not she's an Indian, for some people it just doesn't matter. She is a female. And there are so many in this country who feel that it's time for a woman to run the United States of America. And recently we had a chance to talk with Jamie Harrison, who, of course, is the black American who is the chair of the Democratic National Committee. He says that Kamala Harris, Colin Allred, who's running against Republican Ted Cruz, those folk will bring forth a better America where we can all just get along. But once again, the big concern, black men. Who will you support? Kamala Harris, or will you support Donald John Trump?
And staying with the U.S. presidential election, former President Barack Obama has opened a can of worms after he lectured black men to vote for Kamala Harris while speaking in Pennsylvania last week. America's first black president had some frank discussions with young black voters who could play a crucial role in this year's election, asking black men to accept the entry of women, particularly women of color, in corridors of power. Barack Obama's words managed to touch a raw nerve. Though most black men agreed to President Obama's sentiments, some made some rather strong objections. Our next report brings you more.
Former U.S. President Barack Obama has found himself on the wrong side of American voters, particularly black men. Last week, the 44th President of America gave a blistering performance in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Speaking in the swing state, Obama called on men and black men to vote for Kamala Harris.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I've noticed this especially with some men who seem to think Trump's behavior, the bullying and the putting people down, is a sign of strength. And I am here to tell you that is not what real strength is. Real strength is about working hard and carrying a heavy load without complaining. Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions and telling the truth even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That is what we should want for our daughters and for our sons, and that is what I want to see in a president of the United States of America.
And that wasn't it. As Barack Obama continued to open a bigger can of worms after addressing the crowds from the podium, he spoke to a group of black men separately.
How are you?
He urged them to embrace women in power and pick Kamala Harris as their next president.
I'm going to go ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind. Because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running.
My goodness, a lot of things to think about when it comes down to black men and our support of former President Donald Trump, and of course the concern about whether or not black men will support Kamala Harris. Now, interestingly, we believe that black men will be involved with both political parties. Black men have reached the level of political sophistication to understand that it takes two wings on a bird for him to fly. It takes a Democratic wing, it takes a Republican wing. And we have all been under the impression that we've got to be involved in both parties. But as it stands right now, the majority of black folks vote for the Democrats. They don't care about the history of the Democratic Party, the fact that the Democratic Party was the party of slavery, the party of Jim Crow, the party, too, that will not vote to give you any kind of reparations or anything like that. Don't bring that up to the Democrats. I can remember before Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, the great state of Texas down in Houston, God rest her soul. She was one that would bring it up, but only would bring it up during election time. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens on November 5th. But black men, we are proud of you. We are so honored that you have this degree of independence, political sophistication, that you can think for yourself. You don't need somebody like Barack Hussein Obama to try to tell you who to vote for. And Mr. Obama, this is no diss against you, but you're you. And as Kendrick Lamar said, we wonder if you are not one of us. You didn't fight for reparations. You did sign executive orders for the LGBTQ community. What reparations did you, what did you do for black folks? I mean, you did a lot of ceremonial things, and we certainly understand that, and we appreciate the fact that you did occupy the White House. And but we just hope and pray that if Donald Trump gets in office, that you and the rest of your crew don't have to worry about treason, whether or not you sold the country out, whether or not you were in bed with the Russians or any of the Islamic countries that want to assassinate former President Donald Trump. We just hope and pray that none of that stuff is indeed going to go on. And also, Mr. Obama, what was your role in the Russia collusion? While Mr. Trump was in office, did you pose a threat to the United States, Mr. Obama, as you and Hillary and many of the others came up with a hoax to try to undercut the presidency of the United States? Thank God, Mr. Obama, that nobody did that to you when you were in office and when Hillary was the Secretary of State. But I'll tell you what, keep in mind now, there's going to be a judgment day. Well, once again, you've been watching GFN Soul NYC FM, the Robert Ashley Show. What we do here is news and commentary. We're not intending to offend anybody, but just to inform, to evoke thought. And once again, Election Day is November 5th, and early voting will also be getting underway pretty soon. Take advantage of early voting. So on Election Day, if indeed there's a storm or something like that, you don't have to worry about trying to get out there and stand in a long line just to have your voice heard. Well, once again, we thank you for being with us right here on GFN Soul NYC FM. I'm Robert Ashley, and have a blessed day.
It's the best in throwback hits radio. It's going down right here, GFN Soul NYC FM 151. 24/7, nothing but the throwback hits. The soul that you used to jam to. Commercial free also, did I say? We don't play a bunch of commercials, so when we jam, you're jamming for real. 24/7, all you have to do is tune in to us on Roku. You can get us on our Amazon Fire TV. You can type in your search, GFN Radio Soul 24/7, right there on your screen. You can listen while you're cleaning up. Also, you can go to Amazon Alexa. Say, Alexa, play GFN Soul NYC FM. Got you 24/7, nothing but the hits. Make sure you tune in to the world famous Quiet Storm, going down every night, 10 p.m., where I take you on a ride back with the 70s, the 80s, nothing but the best slow jams, the 90s and on down to 2000. Also, we do play some of the latest smooth hits